Hello everyone, the market has been really good this week. Breakouts have been really good this week. The S&P 500 is still not at all-time highs, hasn't seen all-time highs since November 11th. Same for IWM. IWM has closed the week off with a lot of strength, but again guys, they have not reached their highs, all-time highs, last placed on November 11th, despite so many names were trading, doing extremely well. This could mean a few things. A, maybe there's a rotation to some of the larger cap companies that drive the indices, or maybe the winners, the breakout stocks that are not properly exposed or represented in the indices are going to continue running. Either way, things are going to work out for us. The market is really strong. I don't see any of that strength subsiding over the next couple months to close out the year. Let's get into some of these names. RGTI. First up, RGTI. This is a quantum computing stock. I think it's really nice here. I actually took a trade on this a couple weeks back, or maybe a week ago, and I cut the trade at pretty much break even. So this is why I liked the trade. So if you look at the weekly here, you can see have this weekly structure basically popped out of the wedge, and now it's moving higher. However, once it popped out of the wedge, it didn't just give like a parabolic move. Rather, it's creating a little bit of like a launch pad, I would call it here, setting up to then get a bigger move. And the quantum stocks have been performing pretty well. So this is a name that I'm really interested in next week. Maybe it tightens up a little bit more, gives us a better risk reward. That would always be a good thing. The better the risk reward, the more shares we can buy for the same amount of risk. That's going to result in bigger gains if the trade works out. So that's that one. ML, Moneyline. Moneyline's up 8% today. Today would be a good day for entry. I did not buy it. I'm going to wait for next week. But if you look at the weekly, this is a stock that has gotten absolutely destroyed since its IPO. Reverse split a few times, obviously, you can tell, because it did not demerge or de-SPAC at $300 a share. So some reverse splits. The company obviously has not been performing well. However, over the last year, like since mid-July of 2023, the stock has improved. Improving financials. They saw a big jump off of the last earnings, and it's looking to take out a key level here. So I think this, give or take, let's just call it this level right here, 89, 90 level-ish. I think this is key. And getting above this 90 level will open the door to higher levels. Similar trade to Hippo. If you remember Hippo from yesterday's video, go watch it if you haven't. Kind of a similar idea, by the way. I don't think it's going to go all the way to 360. You never know, but that drawing is not accurate. Anyway, you get the point, right? We're looking for a key break at this level. This is in the right industry. Moneyline, fintech stock. Fintechs have been performing really well. Square is my top trade for the next couple months. Unfortunately, it's a little bit stuck here. But if you look at the weekly, it's still looking really well. So I'm very confident about that. Okay, XMTR. This is one that I found in my screener earlier today. It has a similar look as Moneyline. I don't even know what these guys do. Earnings were good. And it's very similar, right? You have like a key level of about like 34, 35 here. That breaks through, has some run room. But, it has a really similar appeal to Moneyline. This one broke through its, downtrend. And if we go to the daily, we could probably see it's building a little bit of like a launch pad. So it's kind of like a combination of the first one we looked at, RGTI, the quantum stock. And then it's similar to ML when you go to the weekly and, break it down from that perspective. So pretty interesting, kind of like a combination of the two. And not only, guys, these videos are not only made to like provide what are the top setups or, some interesting setups of mine. These videos are to kind of help you identify what looks good and why it's good. Not every setup is the same. The context is not the same. The market is not the same. So I hope in doing these videos, you guys get a little bit more of a grasp of some of those concepts. And by the way, I just want to plug it. If you go to the down below the description, you'll see my X. So I have a lot of setups there, way more than the videos. And then obviously the Discord is 100% free, link in bio, guys. If you go to the Discord, I have coverage and constant updates on pretty much all of these names, especially if I'm actually in them. Many of these names I'm not in, right? I'm looking to get in. So anyway, with that being said, let's keep moving. GME. So GME has been really, 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 really interesting because this is not the type of stock that, when it's rallying, just kind of sits around. And the stock has really, really tightened up. So I sense that this is very strong accumulation, right? So it got the breakout of this downtrend, similar to a lot of the other stocks we were looking at. In fact, the downtrend was more like that. But anyway, see, it got a little bit of a launch pad here, right? Set up and then got a nice move. And now it's setting up again, right? So we're seeing a flat top, I would call it. Key level of resistance at 28.6, and then we're seeing higher lows into this level. So it's tightening. The range is tightening up, which is really good for risk reward, but it tells us something else, right? It tells us that there's a lot of accumulation, right? We're seeing the volume decline as well. So there's three types of people that I believe are currently in GME. So we have one, the apes or the degenerates that are kind of just holding no matter what. So that's a pretty solid base, right? We know that they're not going to unload their shares of GME. So in a time like this, they're not really adding, nor are they really declining from their positions. So secondly, we have people that may know something about the stock, which is why we're seeing accumulation, why we're seeing so much bullish, positive flow into the options at relatively high strikes. And then we have people like myself that are kind of just looking at the setup, that have kind of moved in and out of the position throughout the week, causing maybe a little bit of volatility in the stock, right? So I've adjusted my position based on my overall feelings of GME throughout the week. I am positioned in this, not very heavy yet, but reasonable position I'm in. So obviously going into the weekend, or you may be seeing this during the weekend or even on Monday, I don't want to take on too much risk. But if this stock gets a catalyst, it is going to explode. I will tell you that. Pretty much an obvious statement, but look at this setup. This setup is phenomenal, guys. That is beautiful consolidation. And stocks like this with high ADRs typically don't consolidate like this, right? It's flat on the day. It's down 0.25%. For something like GME to kind of just sit in such a narrow range is very rare. And if you look back at the other times it's done that, right, it's made some really big moves. This was pretty narrow, but not nearly as narrow as this one. And then obviously if you zoom all the way back to one of the original big breakouts, this was a pretty tight range it had as well. So anyway, that's GME. Maybe I've done too much yapping about it. Let's continue going. ANF. This has earnings on Tuesday, but I really like this setup. So if we don't take a trade on it, which I'm not going to gamble on earnings, it's just kind of to show you guys why I like this setup. So if you look, right, ANF has been a really strong stock throughout 2023 and parts of 2024. It's been phenomenal, really. Over the last several months here, it hasn't really done much. In fact, it's been kind of downtrending. But if you look at this, right, it's really respected this trend line as well. But it's made lower highs consistently, and it's also making higher lows as well. So as you can see, it's converging, it's tightening up. This is waiting for a catalyst to send it higher. Has earnings on Tuesday. Maybe it gaps up on Tuesday, and it'll give us an entry opportunity somewhere along the lines. A lot of traders like to get in off the gap and just anticipate continuous momentum from earnings beyond. Personally, I like to see if the stock maybe just rests for a little bit after an earnings breakout and then take the trade here or something, right? So anyway, this is a nice setup just to show you, right? If there weren't earnings, I would be way more interested in actually trading it over the next few days, but really earnings could go, anything could happen. So we'll wait to see what happens first. Okay, Upstart. So Upstart, as you could tell by the weekly, a lot of momentum, right? So we want the stocks with momentum. It's a stock that's been beat up. Look at what it did in 2021, by the way. I mean, just crazy action. But as you can see, this looks good, right? It's gaining some strength. It got a big stage 1 base breakout here. It was really nice, and it's been extremely strong. Now, let's zoom into this structure and kind of break it down in a little bit more detail. So I like what I see here, right? It's tightening up. There's accumulation. I think if it just gets over 75.5, I think that's enough to send this thing. $100 possible price target, certainly possible. So I like this one. I think it's good. It plays into what themes are working right now, fintech. So that's kind of the overall idea with Upstart. Last one. This one is I don't really know much about the company. Obviously, their construction, given its name. But it's a recent IPO. That's what I'm interested in. So a lot of these new IPO stocks, when they're breaking out to new highs, typically have a lot of momentum, and they move pretty well. So that's a result of like price discovery. Buyers are still trying to figure out, investors, etc., still trying to figure out a fair market price. But oftentimes, when you have these stocks breaking out to new highs shortly after an IPO, there can be a really nice, time frame where the stock is just running really well. So that's kind of, what I'm thinking about on something like this. It's not like Top Setup or something, but it's a fair name. And so that concludes the list, guys. Anyway, if you like the video, drop a like, subscribe. I appreciate you guys watching. Discord link in bio or link in the description, and the X as well. If you guys want more coverage on setups, etc., etc. I may come up with another list this weekend, so there might be 2 uploads. We'll see. But for now, this is what I have. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon.